Welcome back to the reading chair. All right, we're learning a great story today about pumpkins because we're learning about pumpkins this week. And this story is called The Bumpy Little Pumpkin. I love this little book. It's by Marjorie Kellier and it's illustrated by William Hillenbrand. That means he drew the pictures. Now, can you figure out where the title is at on this page? Where's the title? It's the big words right here. Where's the author's name? It's the little words at the bottom. Yes. Okay, so this is the front cover. Here's the back cover. And we're talking about all these things because this will be on your test at 9 weeks. You will need to know where's the title, where's the author's name, where's the front cover, where's the back cover. Oh my goodness, we're also going to learn about text on the page, which way we go when we read. All right, it says, The Bumpy Little Pumpkin. That's the title page because it says the title again. Remember, title's another word for the name. All right. Little Nell lived with Big Mama, Big Sarah, and Big Lizzie in a great big house in a great big woods. See her house? I'm kind of thinking that might be little Lizzie. Maybe. She's small. Behind the great big house, there was a great big garden. And in the great big garden, there was a great big pumpkin patch. And all summer long, little Nell helped her family water and weed so that the pumpkins would grow big and orange for Halloween. She's a good helper, I bet. She's carrying the water, isn't she? When Halloween finally came, Big Mama called little Nell and her sisters into the kitchen. It's time for each of you to pick a pumpkin to carve, she said in her big blustery voice. Me too? Asked little Nell. You too, said Big Mama. Everyone's getting a pumpkin. So little Nell followed her sisters out to the pumpkin patch. There are so many wonderful pumpkins, it's hard to choose, said Big Sarah. She picked up a tall, skinny pumpkin. I think I like this one, she said. Big Lizzie picked up a round, fat pumpkin. This is the one for me, she said. Can you see them? They're all picking their pumpkins. Look at little Lizzie. She's got a thinking face on. She is thinking. But little Nell could not decide. She walked back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, looking at all the pumpkins. Some were big, some were small, some were crooked, and some were tall. But none were just right. At last she came to the end of the patch, and there sat a little bumpy pumpkin all by itself. Look here. Look at all those pumpkins, but look what she sees. See this one? There's a lot of pumpkins to pick from, but she's looking at this one. This one is my favorite, said little Nell. It's bumpy and little and ugly, said Big Lizzie. It could have a nice smiley face, said little Nell. No way, said Big Sarah. How about this nice, smooth one instead? I like the bumpy one, said little Nell. Big Sarah and Big Lizzie rolled their eyes. We're taking our pumpkins inside, said Big Sarah. You keep looking till you find a bigger and better one, said Big Lizzie. Then we will help you carve it, added Big Sarah. I don't think they like her pumpkin much. Look at the pumpkins they've got. They're so big. There's lots and lots of pumpkins at this patch. After they left, little Nell sat down next to the bumpy little pumpkin. A tiny tear fell down her cheek, and then another. Why do you think she's crying? Do you think maybe she's sad that no one else liked her pumpkin? That they were saying things that were not very kind? Yeah. Sometimes people don't watch what they say and they hurt people's feelings. We should always be careful not to. Her friends, Reindeer, Hare, and Bear Cub came along. "What's wrong?" asked Bear Cub. Little Nell sniffed and snuffled. "Big Lizzie and Big Sarah think my pumpkin's too bumpy and too little and too ugly to make a good jack-o'-lantern." "I don't think it's too bumpy," said Bear Cub. "Or too little," said Reindeer. "Or too ugly," said Hare. "You don't?" asked little Nell. "No," said the animals. Do you know what a hare is? So there's Bear Cub. There's Reindeer. Do you know what a hare is? It's another name for a rabbit. Another name for a rabbit is a hare. "This pumpkin would make a great jack-o'-lantern," said Reindeer, "and we could help you carve it." "How?" asked little Nell. "Like this," said Reindeer, and he lowered his head and he cut around and around and around the top until he carved a lid. "Oh," said little Nell, "that's perfect." Do you see what he's using? What's he using to cut with? His what? What do we call these? Antlers. Antlers, right. "I can scoop out the insides," said Bear Cub. "How?" said little Nell. "Like this," said Bear Cub, and he pawed and he pawed and he clawed until there was nothing left but an empty pumpkin shell. See him using those little paws? "Oh, goody," said little Nell. "Now for the face. How can we do that?" "Let's ask birds to help," said Hare. So little Nell whistled for the birds. Crow, cardinal, and sparrow flew down from the trees. "Could you make a face for my jack-o'-lantern?" asked little Nell. "What kind of face?" asked Cardinal. With her finger, little Nell etched and sketched and sketched and etched a face in the dirt. It had triangles, 3 sides, 4 eyes, a square, all sides the same, 4 sides, for a nose, and a smiley, lopsided mouth. "Like this," she said. Do you see her etching and sketching? Do you know what etching and sketching means? To draw, right, to draw. She drew. You see the triangle eyes, the square nose, and a lopsided mouth. So Crow, Cardinal, and Sparrow poked and pecked and pecked and poked until the pumpkin had a face. At last the jack-o'-lantern was finished. What a good job they did. Little Nell smiled a tiny smile. "I can't wait to show Big Mama, Big Sarah, and Big Lizzie." She picked it up and ran all the way to the house. See her carrying her little pumpkin? Jack-o'-lantern now, isn't it? Because it has a face. "What a beautiful jack-o'-lantern," said Big Mama. "Where did you get it?" "From our pumpkin patch," said little Nell. "But who helped you carve it?" said Big Sarah. "My friends Reindeer, Bear, and Hare," said little Nell. "I still think it's little and bumpy and ugly," said Big Lizzie. "Nonsense," said Big Mama. "Jack-o'-lanterns come in all shapes and sizes." Look at theirs. Theirs is nice too, isn't it? The girls placed their jack-o'-lanterns near the door, and Big Mama lit them. She put a candle inside them. "Mine's cool," said Big Sarah. "Mine's even cooler," said Big Lizzie. "They're all wonderful," said Big Mama. Even mine? Asked Little Nell. Even yours, said Big Mama, and she leaned over and gave Little Nell, a big sloppy kiss. Little Nell smiled. Do you smile when your mom kisses you? Yeah, there she is getting her big sloppy kiss. Look at her smiling. Happy Halloween. Do you see the jack-o'-lantern? What do you make jack-o'-lanterns out of? Where do they come from? They come from pumpkins, right. Pumpkins are what we use to make jack-o'-lanterns. Have you ever made a jack-o'-lantern? Sometimes it's fun, instead of actually making a jack-o'-lantern out of a pumpkin, sometimes it's fun to draw a jack-o'-lantern. Have you ever tried to draw a jack-o'-lantern? Have you ever started with a round part and then tried to draw in eyes and a nose and a mouth? You should try it sometimes. It's a lot of fun to draw jack-o'-lanterns because they can be any size, any shape, and you can draw any kind of face you want. All right, let's go do our next activity.